Okay, let's see if I can rattle through two of these. So the Reagan Show, which is a documentary about how an actor came into the White House and changed the focus of politics from, politics to show business. The documentary is based on footage from White House television. It's all about, appearance, the fact that you've actually got a Hollywood actor who was actually asked at one point by an interviewer, you've auditioned for roles in movies, you've auditioned for roles in the White House, which is the most difficult thing? And Reagan replies, well, it's much more difficult to be the president because once you've got the role, you then have to write the script. Of course, the thing that was always said about Reagan was that he wasn't writing the script. In fact, what he was doing was performing, other people's scripts. And what the film attempts to do is, on the one hand, talk about the birth of that kind of televised politics, although of course that really goes back to way before. I mean, there's that famous thing about Nixon being fine as long as you can't see him, and that sort of the birth of televisual politics actually sort of predates that quite a lot. There is also there's an awful lot of stuff about the relationship between America and Russia and the Star Wars program, and how you had this thing about an American president who seemed to present very well as as an actor, somebody with a kind of cornball smile and a you get outtakes you get clips of old Reagan movies, but weirdly enough, then suddenly being outmaneuvered by his Russian counterpart, who comes across as actually sort of far more charismatic. What the film, I think, is essentially attempting to do is to somehow take that stuff and make comparisons with what's happening now in the White House, in which you have a reality TV star in the White House. I mean, oddly enough, on the one hand, while some of the footage is kind of interesting, the doc never really gets under the skin of what it actually means to be for politics to all be about presentation and not to be about substance. It's also true that looking back now, I mean, I remember when Reagan was in power, and I was at Manchester and City Life Magazine would put Reagan on the front cover in a very, very unflattering light, and we were all absolutely outraged by some of his policies and some of the things that he did. And yet there is that weird thing now that you look back on it all, and it somehow seems like some golden age of decency and and innocence and diplomacy. I mean, it's a film that had some diverting moments. I laughed out loud on a couple of occasions, but I don't think it's a film which manages to get under the skin of its subject. It certainly doesn't have anything like as much substance as it would really need to have.